Today on the Extreme Channel, we're going to look at this tiny little guy. Wait, you can't see it? Come here. Closer. As the Extreme Channel is pushing towards 50,000 subscribers, these are just a few of the statues we're giving away on the journey there. If you want to know how to win one, stay tuned for later in the video. Hey guys, thanks for tuning into the Extreme Channel. Today we're looking at a very old piece from Sideshow Collectibles. I don't quite know the age, but I think it's more than 5, maybe even close to 10 years old. This is their Hulk vs. Spider-Man diorama. Now what's interesting about this piece is I'm going to let you know right now, I think it's really good, but I think it's overrated. And the reason I'm reviewing it is I'm actually selling it. No, don't message me. If you're interested in buying this, make sure you've actually liked this video, you've subscribed to the channel, and you hit that bell notification because I sell everything through the channel. And I'm going to sell about 15 Hulk statues here in the next month or so, and this is going to be one of them. So because I'm selling him, I thought, you know what? It's time to actually do a review because I have owned him probably for about 5 years. Well, I think this has some really redeeming qualities. Again, I think it's overrated. So we're going to talk all about the pros and cons in the Extreme review today. We're going to use the traditional categories, even though it's an older piece. And the fact that it's an older piece, we're not going to put that into the bias or not. So we're going to see if it competes against some newer pieces. Recently, I did a Hulk countdown. You can actually check out the video right here. And this fell lower in the countdown for a few different reasons, which let's talk about, starting with concept. So first of all, the concept of this piece is pretty cool. Spider-Man and Hulk is a classic comic standoff. I actually have another statue that will be up for sale, this one right here. This one really shows the battle going. So on the base is not only a street, but it is a street that is completely destroyed and smashed. Hulk smash. Smashed so much so that he is actually picking up part of the street to assumably throw at Spider-Man. And this is a very Neanderthalic Hulk. So kind of the earlier comics where he was total beast, total rage. He's considerably bent over, which kind of masks his size. And Spider-Man is in a very action dynamic pose. He is jumping on top of a smashed streetlight, dodging the Hulk's blows, maybe ready to attack back. And let's be honest, Spider-Man doesn't have a chance. So it's a very cool concept. It shows two very popular Marvel characters going at it, showing the damage they can do, showing their powers, Spidey's athleticism, Hulk's brute strength. So I think the concept's great on this. I think it's a 5 out of 5 on the concept, which is why a lot of people like it. Now, where I find all the problems, or the majority of them, are with the design. Now, while I unboxed this a long time ago, I believe Spidey is a piece. You know, the streetlight comes out. Hulk is one piece, if I believe. But one of the problems is the size. It's just too small.
That's what she said.
So depending on what you think is the front, we're going to say this is the widest point at about 18 inches. The tallest point is probably Spider-Man's hand, 14 and a half inches or so. Then if we said this is the deepest part, a little over 15 inches. Now, I don't know what scale this is. When we say scale, like 1/4 scale, that's how many times smaller is it relative to a real life version. I'm thinking this is about 1/6 or so. Now that's great if you have a smaller collection, but the problem is if you collect Hulk statues, this is the smallest you're going to find. To me, that is just a huge issue. However, the bigger issue with this statue is the display ability. There is essentially only one way to display it, and it is like that. Anything else, you miss out on one of the characters. It is very hard to display, not only from the side angle, but from the top or bottom. If you don't have this at eye level, then pretty much you lose out on the portraits of both characters. So I think that's a big fail. So while it may be a great statue, and we're going to talk about the paint and sculpt, which is pretty good, the display ability just sucks. Also, I do remember when it came out, there was a bunch of issues with Spidey's fingers breaking off. A lot of delicate stuff going on here. So design, I have to give it a 2 out of 5, unfortunately. And I think when I said half, I think my voice did crack because it's about 3:30 in the morning. Now let's dive into the paint and sculpt. And just so you know, I bought this secondhand about 5 years ago. And there's almost, I don't know if it's a layer of dust on it that just won't come off because I do dust it regularly, or if it was just darker shading from the original sculpt. But let's take a look. Won't take too long here, but first starting at the base, I really like what they did. I love how destroyed the street looks. I love the texture that they put on there. And I think the colors really make it pop too. On the sides, they added a shading of brown to kind of insinuate underneath the street level, and I like that. Otherwise, it's your traditional dark and light grays with some white on the top. Really good job. I think that the street alone is very impressive. I'm not a big fan of like this post-tension cable and this stuff coming out here. It looks not as good as the rest, but it's not bad. You know what's interesting? The piece he's picking up doesn't look as good as the rest of the base, but I'm okay with that. Streetlight looks a little plasticky where the paint on the actual lights are. And you'll see so much dark shading around this entire thing that really hurts the overall look of the statue. It just doesn't pop as much. Street pole, probably some of the weakest parts there. But the base itself, Spidey and Hulk are fantastic. But as we move up to Spidey, I really like it. Now you see some of that dust I was talking about. But I think they did a great job with the physique. Very athletic looking. His proportions are nice. Too much of that darker color like I talked about. Just kind of all over. Just went way too dark on that in my opinion. His entire body is smooth, which you traditionally don't see in Spider-Man's today. But I think they did a really nice job on Spidey, the classic symbol on his back there. Hulk I really like. Let's start with the portrait. Very Kirby-esque style. Like I said, very Neanderthalic, where he's full of rage and really a monster. Even the hair looks fantastic. Totally roided out. His proportions are exaggerated, as it typically is. Not only the muscles, but just see the size or the length of his arms compared to the rest of his body and his small head. I love the sculpted clothes around him. While you do see better on current statues to date, I think this is really good for its time. But again, a lot of that dark shading on not only the Hulk himself, but some of the clothes, which is just a little too much in my opinion. And I think some texture on the pants would have been fantastic. But it's still done really well. I'm really impressed with it. And again, here you just have trouble looking at the different angles of the thing. So overall, I think the sculpt is fantastic. I love the portrait. I love Hulk. I love the base. I think Spidey's pretty good. The paint, I don't know why they went so dark all over the place, but otherwise it's pretty decent. Very cool piece. So honestly, I like the sculpt a lot. I really like Hulk. I think it stands up. I don't know if this was traditionally sculpted or digitally sculpted on a computer. And I said Spidey's not bad at all. I love the base. I think the sculpt on this is phenomenal. I think it's a strong 4 out of 5, even possibly a 5 out of 5. I would have liked to see some texture inside Spider-Man, like I said, to really give it that next level. Paint. Again, I wouldn't have chosen those darker colors. It just makes the statue too dark. And that combined with the displayability issues makes it a little bit worse. But it's still done really well. I think the paint is, I'm going to give it a weak 4 out of 5 on this particular piece. Which is why people like this so much, because it commands a very high price tag in the aftermarket. Originally, they made 500 of these. Now, this is the regular version. I believe they made an exclusive where the street light actually lights up. Now, for the regular version, the 500 they made, back in the day, this only retailed for $300. If you're not in the statue game, you're like, only $300? Yeah, only $300. Where nowadays, they'd probably charge $1,000. Which I think the going rate for this is anywhere from $600 to $1,500, depending on how patient you are. So I'm not going to give it a score because it's an older existing piece, but does this have the X factor? You know, I honestly think if this was true 1/4 scale, it may have the X factor. It may have a 5 out of 5 statue. But because of some of the limitations in design, it just doesn't for me. I know a lot of people, this is one of their favorite Hulk pieces, if not their favorite Hulk piece. For me, I just see better options out there. So I give this a 3 out of 5 when it's all said and done, despite the fact it's a great concept, despite the fact it's great paint and sculpt. Let me know what you think. Am I totally off on this? Do I need some more sleep? And the reason I ask you to comment is because of this. We will be giving all of these statues away, plus additional ones at every 5,000 subscriber milestone. To win one of these statues, all you have to do is make sure you've liked this video, you've subscribed to the channel, you've hit that bell notification, and then just drop a comment below. Every 5,000 subscriber milestone, we are going to do a random drawing and pick a random comment and give one of these statues away, plus some additional ones I'm not showing right now. The more videos you comment on, the higher your chances are to win. Thanks so much for tuning in, guys. Really appreciate it. Again, make sure not only to like this video, but hit that picture of me to subscribe so you know when this and other Hulk pieces going for sale. They're going up for sale. But I'll talk to you guys very soon. Until then, take care.